Welcome to the breakdown where we break down all the disturbing movies. I know y'all been waiting, my bad. And I also know a lot of y'all been waiting on this film. Happiness is one of the films you will always see on the disturbing film list or whatever. It's about the lives of three sisters, Joy, Helen, and Trish. And it's also about these weirdos surrounding them. Also, if you clicked on this video expecting some kind of detailed analysis, too bad. It's just a friendly neighborhood recap series. But if you check out the description, I can point you to some pretty interesting alternatives. Now, if you want to see what happens, including all the messed up parts, stay tuned for the breakdown. Two fellow employees are out on a date at a pretty cool restaurant, but the date itself isn't going well. It's an awkward last date for Andy and Joy here. She just got done telling him we should stop dating, but his ability to bounce back from that is god awful. He's over here crying and staring all weird. He asks if there's someone else, but she says no, it's just you. He took that as if it's his fault. Regardless of what Joy really meant, Joy's a sweetheart though, just pretty naive and awkward, I guess. Suddenly, he reveals a gift. Okay, I'm not gonna front. I don't know what the heck this is, but I'm guessing it's some kind of very expensive old school ashtray? Or maybe smoke carrier? I don't know. I honest to God will not care after this video is uploaded, but you can tell me anyway, I guess. It's got 40 karat gold in it though. She really enjoys it, saying she'll, well, listen.
I'll always treasure it as a token.
No, you won't. Because this is for the girl who loves me. The girl who cares about me for who I am. Not what I look like.
Okay, relax, my dude. You don't look bad. You just act weird. Chill out. That's the literal last we will see of Andy, by the way. At least alive. Next, we're introduced to Alan, and yeah, y'all know who that is playing him. Kinda look like Jeffrey Dahmer mixed with Dashy though. Maybe he really is related to Jeffrey, especially saying shit like this.
But whenever I see her, I just wanna undress her. I wanna tie her up. I wanna pump her till she screams bloody murder, and then I wanna pump her even more. And it's so hard that my dick shoots right through her. Cum squirts out of her mouth.
He's complaining about some neighbor he's been smitten with, but he's too scared to talk to her. Who is he talking to though? Well, Dr. Connors, of course. Just kidding. His name is Dr. Bill Maplewood, a psychologist. Instead of listening to his patient though, he is thinking of his grocery list and to-do list of the day. We will see Bill later. Let's see what girl Alan is thinking about. She's bad as hell, the type of woman everybody is enamored with. But this is the part where you introduce yourself at least. She's literally dreading you already. He kept complaining that he's boring, but really he's just overly awkward. Her name is Helen Jordan, the sister of Joy from the beginning. Also, Alan has the unusual and weird habit of going through the phone book to find women to verbally mess with. We cut over to Joy over her big sister's house. So now we all know all three sisters, Joy, Trish, and Helen. Trish's full name is Trish Maplewood. And if you remember that name, then you'll know that she's married to the psychologist, Bill. And they have 2 kids and a nice chill ass dog. Joy is just emotional just about her whole life at this point. I mean, she doesn't have a good steady income, no man, and she's in contact with both sisters who have all they need and feel like they have a belonging. Plus, Trish is the kind of person who would say nice things to you, but then talk bad about you when you aren't there. She's also the kind of person that think I'm a mass murderer in the making because I can speedrun Mario Bros. Joy though, she's overworked and tired of having to deal with the bullshit without grabbing the steel. The next scene is a reoccurring dream. Also, it's a scene I was not expecting considering what's been ridiculously going on like every day in the United States. Skip ahead about 10 seconds if you would like to miss that. He never kills himself in these dreams. He just kills everybody around him, something he tells his psychologist. One thing he tells the man though is that he isn't interested in having sex with his wife. His true fetish will be revealed soon. On his way home, he stops inside at a store and goes straight to the magazine rack, but picks up a pretty childish magazine. He then goes to the backseat of his car and masturbates to the children in the magazine, while children walk around the car outside. Bill is a pedophile, or whatever it is specifically based on age. He goes back home like a typical good father, greeting his wife and older son Billy. Trish complains about her sister Joy here too. Very contradictory of her nice keep your chin up words to her sister. She loves her marriage though, without a doubt. Okay, so this next scene, Billy comes to ask his father a question that's on his mind. Pretty normal for kids to do that, right? His question though is, what does cum mean? What I also wasn't expecting was Bill to explain it so thoroughly, but I guess that's a good thing, right? I don't know. His peers seem to be bullying him on his inability to cum yet. Some of y'all middle schoolers back then were so nasty, like, I guess because that's when everybody started watching porn, like, ugh, people were saying the worst stuff, bro. Bill offers to show him how to masturbate, which is fucking weird, but Billy is left with thoughts of not being normal because he can't ejaculate yet. We cut to some kind of special resort kind of place. I'm pretty naive when it comes to pretty much anything, so I apologize for not knowing what kind of living institution this is. All I know is the parents of the 3 sisters live here. They are having problems in their marriage though. The husband, Lenny, he doesn't want a divorce, but he just wants to be left alone. He doesn't even have a side piece he's interested in. We'll get back to these two later. Back with Helen, this phone call between sisters lets us know Helen is a very successful author. She can have any man she wants. People love her for whatever. But that's kind of the problem. Helen wasn't so interested in hearing what Joy had to say, but luckily, Joy has a guy calling her. She thinks it's someone she knows from work, but really it's actually Alan impersonating a peer. Joy's slow ass finds out the truth though a little too late.
Actually, they fit pretty good. But why do you want to know about...
Not the jeans, underneath. What are you wearing underneath? Check.
Oh, this isn't Damien, is it?
Are you all wet? Is your pussy all wet?
Things got a little nutty on the wall, let's just leave it at that. Anyway, Alan has a visitor. It's a woman named Christina who tells Alan that the night door man was murdered and had his penis cut off. That's not why Christina is really here though. She wanted to ask him to go with her to a game, but he says no because he's got too much unrelated stuff on his mind. A heartbroken Christina tears up the tickets as she leaves. Back with Joy, she's singing a song, but gets a phone call from authorities. Why? Well, because Andy, the guy she went on a date with in the beginning, has killed himself. Joy is bothered by it very much, but her colleagues have absolutely no idea who Andy was and just spend like 10 minutes debating who Andy was while Joy sits sad. Kinda reminds me of Ken Park. Even worse, Andy's mom calls, telling Joy to ride in hell. We cut to Trish and Helen having dinner at the same place that Joy had her date. Helen just reiterates how she feels no joy in being the most loved and adored, while Trish feels like she's got it all. Meanwhile, Joy has left her phone job behind and goes to an immigrant education center to start a teaching job. She disagrees with the protesting workers crying for benefits, even though there are more important matters concerning the refugees, according to Joy.
I'm sorry. I think you're all making a terrible mistake.
Okay, get ready for an awkward class. Joy introduces herself to her new students, but one of the students, Madame Gal from Daredevil, calls her a scab. Everybody wants their original teacher, but Vlad here calls for them all to be quiet. Joy responds saying, "I am not a scab, I'm a strike breaker," a phrase she heard another worker say. We cut to a baseball game, and pedophile Bill is staring heavily at a classmate of Billy's named Johnny. Bill later talks to Johnny's father here, who is kinda an asshole. He thinks his son is gay, specifically using the F word because his son isn't very masculine. Kinda reminds me of Ken Park too. In my experience though, I've seen plenty of guys who aren't masculine but aren't gay, but a lot of masculine looking dudes that be the type that prefer men. I've seen more masculine gay people than anything. So let's not think that just because someone's not manly that they are gay. Regardless, The son, Johnny, he's gonna sleep over at Billy's house, something Bill is going to wrongfully take advantage of and make him a true villain. Later, Bill is seen drugging chocolate ice cream that will go to Johnny, but he prefers a tuna sandwich instead. When everybody else is asleep, Bill patiently watches as Johnny eats the drug sandwich as it fades. Off screen, Bill rapes Johnny that night. The next morning, Johnny doesn't feel good and throws up. Bill later drives him home, but Johnny has no idea what happened to him last night. He finds Dr. Maplewood a nice parent that let him sleep over. But even still, I wouldn't get too cozy with another kid, even if Bill didn't rape that boy. Also, the reason Johnny was all alone playing video games last night was cause Billy thought Johnny was pretty girlish. Also, here's a round 2 of awkward questioning. Let's just say Bill is teaching his son about the concepts of length and width. Meanwhile with Helen, she's in the middle of a crisis regarding how fictional her writings really are. For example, she wrote about rape or sexual assault a lot, and in such a way that as if she experienced it herself, but she hasn't. Suddenly, serial prank caller Alan randomly calls, telling her she's worthless and stuff like that. He then hangs up, but when you star 69 a number, you can call that number right back. She tells the person on the other line that she wants him to her brains out. I believe a lot of people who carry a demanding presence in life love submissive sex and flirting. Perhaps that's the case with Helen. She has no idea it's Alan though. Christina later visits Alan using the dead night door man as an excuse to talk to him. Alan is so drunk though that she has to help him to the bed, and the romantic tension is crazy for her. Well, until he runs up to vomit. Once he gets back though, he yells at her to get out in a drunken rage. Later though, Joy is walking sad through New York City when a Russian student Vlad sees her out of nowhere. He's a taxi driver. Her emotions over being a failed teacher makes her cry, so Vlad decides to drive her back home, all the way back to Soprano territory. Just to be clear though, Vlad only wants one thing, and it rhymes with wussy. He also daringly kisses Joy many times, but Joy, she's unexperienced, she's socially awkward, she's gonna fall for him because she's so stupid. I don't know what else to say. We're all pretty stupid, I guess. And that night, they have sex. But strike 2. As soon as the sex is done, he leaves without even saying bye. Here's where things go bad again for Joy. Vlad's girlfriend comes to the teaching place and attacks Joy for having sex with Vlad. I never understood this, but I kinda do. Why not just attack Vlad? This happens so much in our society. We see our partner cheating and we wanna attack the random ass person they cheated with instead. We're literally strategizing ways to attack the person that they cheated with. But let's attack the person that cheated. Come on. I understand if that person knew y'all was in a relationship though. I understand that. Back to young Johnny. He has discovered blood in his bowel movement. His parents take him to the hospital. The police ask him questions, believing he has been sexually assaulted. The father also shouts this out at Johnny for not understanding. It's quite despicable. Look, I'm not gonna bash anybody for just being a pedophile. Yes, it's messed up, but once you actually go through with some sick shit, that's when things get final. Jeff from Hard Candy. Oh, and yes, Bill is suspect number 1, obviously. Later at dinner, Billy mentions how one of his friends named Robert Farber is home alone because his parents are overseas or something like that. After dinner, Bill looks up Robert's address and rapes the boy off screen. So back to Lenny, y'all remember him, right? He decided to meet with an old friend of his to not be bored for once. Even when having sex with her though, he discovers that the problem isn't him being bored. The problem is that he literally does not care. He's indifferent, he feels nothing. Just a psychological thing for him. Meanwhile, Helen waits patiently for her phone stalker. She says she wants to see him, but he hangs up quickly. Christina then knocks on the door to apologize for last night. She ends up revealing how insecure she is about her weight and looks. That's nonsense, girl. And Alan offers that they go out to cheer her up. They go to the bar to drink and dance, and then they go get a bite. Christina over here ordering Big Smoke though. They get a bite, but she starts to reveal something pretty weird and unexpected. Remember that night door man who was murdered? Well, apparently, Christina killed him. That night, he helped take bags to her room. In her room, he attempts to rape her. The original Super Saiyan god Jennifer Hills gives her a power boost, and she kills him by twisting his neck. See, if she just ended it there and then called the police, maybe she would be fine. But for some reason, she decided to cut his body into pieces and stuff it in the refrigerator. After the date, Alan decides to reveal himself to Helen. He tells her through his body language that he was the one who was calling, and she figures it out, but is immensely disappointed. The two then sit awkwardly on the couch until she flats out rejects him, kicking him out. He ends the night by sleeping alongside Christina, who is without a doubt gonna go to jail soon. Later, Joy goes to Vlad's apartment in New York with flowers in hand. Vlad's girl is there and she opens the door, but looks like Vlad beats her pretty often. This time for fighting Joy, since she says she was sorry. Joy sits there awkwardly in the midst of the toxic relationship that these two have. Vlad manipulates the naive Joy into giving him $1,000. Come on, Joy, how can you be this slow? Come on, the Jordan family is freaking nuts. Anyway, she tells him that she won't be teaching anymore, so that's the last they will see of each other. And he calls her a stupid American as she walks away. Okay, he ain't wrong, we sure got a lot of those now. Okay, so now on to the very last Maplewood dinner. It's quite heated because the conversation shifted to drug usage. Trish dislikes drugged up people and says straight out she would disown her kids if they were junkies. How about you get them better first? Like, Bill asked previously if Trish would love him no matter what. I guess that's a pretty common thing for guilty people to say to their partner. Well, seeing how Trish would disown her kids just for being high all the time, it looks like Trish would entirely forget and banish Bill from her life for being a predator. I understand that one. Also, Joe calls. Remember Joe? That was the dad. Why am I saying remember Joe? I didn't even say his name. But he was the dad of Johnny. The hothead tells Bill he's a dead man and then hangs up. Bill continues the phone call to not worry his family. Then the doorbell rings. No, it's not the FBI open up. The only pedophile that the FBI is gonna hunt are the ones that supposedly killed themselves in their jail cell. It's the two detectives from before, wanting to inquire about young Johnny. Bill goes back to the dining room to tell Trish, take care of the kids. In a way, he means like literally just take care of them right now, put them to bed. But also, he slick means take care of them once I'm gone. Bill messes up very hard. As soon as he returns to the cops, he says, did you say something about Ronald Farber? They just say nothing about Ronald Farber. They look at him like, Ronald Farber? Who the heck is that? No, we want to ask you about Johnny Grasso. Long story short, get ready to not drop the soap, Bill. The next morning, Trish and the kids discover this graffiti on the way to the school bus, which they missed, by the way. Like, come on, get your kids ready. And dinner time is all quiet after what's been inferred about Bill. Here's the last awkward conversation between Bill and Billy. Bill reveals he touched and raped both boys to his son. Billy asks if he would ever F him, but Billy says, no, I jerk off instead. 6 months later, Bill is in jail. Trish and the kids are having dinner in the same complex that her parents live in. While the sisters eat, Billy is getting excited looking out at the girl sunbathing. He then masturbates to the girl. And yes, the dog is licking for a reason, yes. In this movie, the three sisters learn that either their happiness was a lie or their pursuit was whack. Joy literally is right back to where she started. Trish has to start again. Helen is right back to where she started. The only happy person is Billy, and he'll tell you why.
I came.
Well, I guess you can't say happiness without penis. Now that we've gotten through a pretty famous film displaying very controversial themes, let's talk about the most disturbed moment and most enjoyed moment, and that's spooky stuff. So let's get right into it. The most disturbed moment for me personally is when Johnny discovered his poop was bloody. Something about that scene just made me pause and think for a second. think about how some grown sicko is taking advantage of a kid. It reminded me of stories how rape against young children in African nations have completely damaged them both psychologically and physically. It just made me stop and think for a second, you know? Most enjoyable moment were probably just the funny little interactions between Joy and her sisters. I mean, it's still a comedic movie, so there are a lot of funny parts, I guess. So I can see any particular moments being picked. And that's it. If you enjoyed this video, hopefully maybe you'll decide to watch the movie yourself, or maybe you just enjoyed this little narration format or whatever. And if so, then I encourage you to subscribe today. Check out some of these videos I got for you in this playlist. Thanks for watching. Spooky out.